CBS News Miami.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. I'm Najahe Sherman, and welcome to CBS News Miami's 4 p.m. Quickcast. Let's take a look at today's top stories.
Always alerting, always tracking. This is Next Weather.
Off the top, a flash flood warning is now in effect for Miami-Dade County. Heavy rain and flooding is expected in low-lying areas. Let's get right to Next Weather meteorologist Cindy Pressler. Cindy.
We've been watching this take place for the last 3 hours or so, and it's a combination of a tropical wave interacting with the sea breeze front, and it has produced very heavy rain, especially over Miami-Dade. This is the flash flood warning. This is in effect until 6 o'clock this evening, including Country Walk, Indicted, Aladdin City. You can take that all the way down right along Chrome Avenue. That's where we've seen as much as 3 to 5 inches of rain over the past couple of hours, and it's not moving much. These storms have just been sitting, and really from about Kendall down to Homestead, that's the spot that we've really been watching. There's a lot of folks living there. We've got high population, and this rain slowly making its way to the west-southwest, so we have a lot of rain yet to talk about here. And we also have a flash flood or a flood advisory in effect. A couple of areas here, including the hammocks, so it's really the same spot, a little bit more expanded, even down to the Homestead vicinity. So this rain is not going to come to an end yet. We're still looking at heavy rain, possibly for the next couple of hours at least. And these are the spots right along Chrome, running from just to the west of Kendall down to Homestead, and you can take that out to the Everglades as well. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit and give you some updates here. As much as 3.8 or 4 inches has fallen right in this area, west of Kendall Lakes, down to the hammocks. Same type of situation, heavier rain, and this has been the heaviest I've seen just west of Aladdin City, right along Chrome. You get down to the Redland area, as much as 3.8 or 4 inches of rain has fallen there, and that water has nowhere to go. Ground is saturated now, so it's going to run in those low-lying areas, the spots that you know flood very often. And all of this rain weakening just a bit now off to the east, which is good to see, but this is now moving down here toward the Keys, so the Keys still have yet to pick up some of this heavy rain. A lot of lightning with these storms as well. We've had some gusty winds this afternoon, but it brought the temperatures down. High today, 96 degrees. This was before the rain started this afternoon. It is now down to 81 degrees. Homestead, look at that. It's almost chilly, 74 degrees. And the spots that have not had the rain, Fort Lauderdale, still feels like it's 97 degrees up there. So it really depends on where it's been raining. That heat advisory goes until 7 o'clock tonight, but really we've cut that heat now with the rain and the clouds, so I don't expect it to come back up at all. These showers and storms will end in about a couple of hours, and then tomorrow, here comes more rain. We're expecting showers and thunderstorms throughout the afternoon into the early evening. We've got that flow coming in off the Atlantic. That's going to bring in the moisture. Plus, we've got the sea breezes we're going to be watching. So the next couple of days at least, expect to see possibly flooding rain right here across South Florida. I'll be back with more details on the weekend coming up in just a bit.
Former President Donald Trump is facing a new indictment. It's naming him and 18 allies in an alleged criminal conspiracy to overturn the 2020 election results in Georgia. Trump has now been indicted for the 4th time in 5 months. CBS News Miami's Christian Benavides reports from Atlanta. He has more on the serious charges that Trump is facing.
I just want to find 11,780 votes.
That January 2021 phone call between outgoing President Donald Trump and Georgia's Secretary of State launched a 2.5-year investigation, culminating in a criminal indictment handed up last night.
The defendants engaged in a criminal racketeering enterprise to overturn Georgia's presidential election result.
The 41-count indictment names Trump and 18 of his allies, including Chief of Staff Mark Meadows and Trump's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani. Trump himself is facing 13 felony counts, including violating Georgia's RICO Act, a racketeering law used to take down major crime organizations.
What you have is a mandatory minimum sentence for anyone who's convicted. It's a punishment of 5 to 20 years. So there's no walk away from this. There's no probation on this.
Trump has continually maintained his innocence, and in a statement, his legal team accused the DA of trying to force through and rush the indictment.
The Fulton County District Attorney has asked all 19 defendants, including the former president, to surrender here in the next 10 days.
Trump is currently the GOP frontrunner in a bid to get his old job back. Many of his Republican competitors are set to debate in Milwaukee next week.
For now, Trump allies tell CBS News he's leaning against showing up in Milwaukee and instead is focusing on rallying his own supporters as he faces down all of these indictments.
Those include the documents case at his Florida home, the January 6 case in Washington, D.C., and the New York hush money case, all amounting to more legal trouble than has ever faced a former U.S. president. Cristian Benavides, CBS News, Atlanta.
Unlike the 3 other criminal cases against the former president, cameras are expected to be allowed in the courtroom. When we come back, the death toll grows as recovery efforts move forward in Hawaii. The mounting criticism of local officials as new concerns surface. Welcome back. Authorities in Maui are facing more criticism. It's about what could have been done to prevent such a large number of deaths and last week's deadly wildfires. The death toll is at 99 and more than 1,000 people are still missing. Search crews are going door to door. Officials say only 25% of the disaster zone has been covered. CBS News Miami's Jeff Wynn has the details.
Soldiers are combing through the burned-out areas of Lahaina, searching for victims. The death toll is expected to rise as they make their way through the scorched rubble. At least 1,300 are still unaccounted for.
They will find 10 to 20 people per day probably until they finish. It's hard to recognize anybody, but they're able to determine if someone did perish.
Survivors are still processing their trauma as they contemplate rebuilding their lives.
It went from blue skies to gray to black. And all we seen was embers from fire that we had no idea what's going on. There was no siren, nothing.
There were warning signs before the fire as 80-mile-per-hour winds lashed power lines, but officials did not shut off the power or stage fire crews before the flames tore through Lahaina as fast as a mile a minute.
Nothing would make us more pleased if we couldn't go back in time and have a lot more protection from sirens.
More than 4,000 people are in need of housing. Some evacuees are staying at this church where donations are pouring in to help them get back on their feet.
To get the essential needs out to the people who really need it, we are working on a coordinated effort.
Longtime resident Fleetwood Mac founder Mick Fleetwood lost his restaurant here.
Selfishly, I haven't lost a family member. I didn't lose my house. It could have happened, but it didn't happen. So you immediately go like, I'm really lucky. Now what the hell can I do?
He told CBS News he's committed to helping to preserve and rebuild Maui. Officials say that process will cost billions and take years. Jeff Nguyen, CBS News, Maui.
Miami police detective is in the hospital. He was seriously hurt while on duty. CBS News Miami's Peter Dinch has those details.
Witnesses watched in horror.
She was just screaming help, Jesus, calling for Jesus, screaming help.
Detective Marvelyn Lee Chen, a 19-year Miami police veteran, was in Overtown working in an unmarked car when someone alerted her to a crime. Witnesses saw a man trying to steal a car on Northwest 2nd Avenue near 12th Street. But when she confronted the man, witnesses say he got upset and jumped into another man's Nissan.
Hit the car in gear and literally just crushed her into the other car.
Police say the suspect sped off. This witness, who did not want to show his face or give his name, did more than watch.
My arm is literally torn up. I just put a pressure to it, wrapped my shirt around it, and just tried to help.
I need rescue, come here.
Chin's backup rushed in too.
I tried to turn the key onto her right arm.
Erica Nelson saw witnesses help police catch their suspect.
When he tried to turn it around the corner, they chased him down to stop him, and when they caught him, they gave him a beating. And held him down to the police gang.
Miami Police Chief Manny Morales joined a crowd of officers who prayed and visited Chin's bedside at the hospital. We also saw officers visiting the detective this morning.
We're a family, right? So I was here when fire rescue brought her in as she was being brought in to get treated, and it's an emotional time. And this just kind of highlights the risk that the brave men and women take each and every day as they go out there to make Miami the safest community in the nation. So my absolute heartfelt gratitude goes to each and every one of them as they go out there and put their lives on the line. They leave their families at home to come do what we ask them to keep our community safe.
Beyonce's famed Renaissance tour will be making a stop at Hard Rock Stadium on Friday. Large-scale events bring an economic boost for local businesses in South Florida. CBS News Miami's Chelsea Jones went to Miami Gardens and shows us how the Beehive helps businesses boom.
We're talking record-shattering impact to cities across the country. Forbes predicts that Taylor Swift's Eras Tour could rake in $1 billion in sales, and they say Beyonce's Renaissance concert could even top that by the time it wraps up in October. That means local businesses with more money in their registers. This is video I shot from Beyonce's Renaissance Tour stop in Washington, D.C. This concert has become a cultural phenomenon, and it's making its way to South Florida on Friday. Restaurants like Sunday's Eatery in Miami Gardens is getting ready.
Again, we done got prepared, so we did extra shopping. We have extra staff prepared for the weekend.
Sunday's is a soul food restaurant with lines normally down the block. The restaurant opened up back in 2019, right before the height of the pandemic, but business has never slowed.
It was during the pandemic. The line stayed long, customers coming in and out.
So when large-scale events come to Hard Rock Stadium or when celebrities are stopping into town, they tell me the people come running for the food that'll make you feel like you're at grandma's kitchen table.
They can expect good home-style Southern cooking.
I asked the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau just what kind of financial impact a concert of this scale might bring to the area. They said they didn't have any relevant numbers for this report. But back in March, I told you about how the Bureau predicted well over $12 million in revenue coming into Miami-Dade County thanks to Jazz in the Gardens. Forbes predicts Beyonce's tour will rake in more than $2 billion. And here at Sunday's Eatery, they just want visitors coming to South Florida to come and see what the hype about their food is all about while they enjoy the Renaissance. Miami-Dade Police has their special events unit tackling the logistics of this event, though they're not releasing specifics. But what we can tell you is that there will be uniform and plainclothes officers here come Friday. In Miami Gardens, I'm Chelsea Jones, CBS News, Miami.
The power of CBS News and the CBS News Miami stream are always at your fingertips. We're on Pluto TV and it's all free. Or find us on your favorite streaming device with the CBS News app, then click CBS News Miami. Well, as we inch closer to a new school year, protecting students is a top priority. We take you inside the Miami-Dade School Command Center, and that story is coming up tonight at 5. That is your Quickcast. I'm Najahe Sherman. Stay tuned for more news right here on CBS News Miami.